Welcome to day 3 of Flourish training. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited that you are watching this. And what we're going to talk about today is what to do when you feel incredibly uncomfortable, which happens probably 50% of the time because we're human, right? So half the time our lives are filled with great emotion, and half the time they're filled with not so great emotion, and discomfort is certainly in there, right? So it's to be expected. And I would like to posture, I would like to suggest that we probably universally as humans don't like to be uncomfortable, right? Doesn't feel good. It feels terrible, actually. And so what I'm going to do today is talk about a lot of the ways that we by default handle discomfort, and then some strategies or some new ways that you could consider handling discomfort. Okay, so if you remember from yesterday that if you want to accomplish something, accomplish an intention, you need 3 things. You need a belief. You need to believe that you can do it. You need to decide that you're going to do it. And then you need to take action. And it's that third step, that action step, is where things get really dicey and where the discomfort lies. Okay, because we can think about doing something and that doesn't really hurt or feel bad. It's when we actually do something that sometimes we're like, don't like that, right? So for example, let's say you wanted to lose weight, say 20 pounds. And to accomplish that goal, there are certain steps, certain actions that you need to take. And, it's going to be different for everybody, but you may exercise more. You may go to the gym. You may change what you're eating. You may change what time you're eating. Like there's a lot of options, right? And when we do something new, we really don't like it. We really feel kind of terrible. So here's what we usually do. And in a way, they're a little bit a variation of the same theme, okay? Number 1 is that we often defer. We push it off. We don't deal with it. And what that looks like is and I think this is particularly true of women, we put everyone else's needs first. We make sure our kids are taken care of. We make sure our spouse is taken care of. We make sure there's dinner on the table. We make sure that the house is clean. I mean, this is a grand sweeping generalization. I realize that, but it's very easy for us to put ourselves at the bottom of the list and say, I will take the leftovers if there are any leftovers left. And a lot of times there aren't, right? So that lets us defer the discomfort. We just keep pushing it off until someday, right? Another thing that we do is that we buffer, which is the same way of saying we avoid. We make ourselves believe that we are so busy, that we are so overwhelmed. There's no way we can possibly take a step forward. There's no possible way that we can serve ourselves. But if you actually took a time audit of your days, how are you spending your time? Are you buffering with social media? Are you spending hours scrolling on your phone? Are you binge watching on Netflix at night or on the weekends? Are you going out with your friends every chance that you get? Or are you playing video games? There's lots and lots of ways that we avoid the discomfort. Because in the short term, filling our time with those things like gives us some relief, right? It gives us some temporary relief. And we're like, okay, I'm good. I'm just going to do this. You know, and maybe you think you're going to be staring at Facebook for 10 minutes and next thing you know, 45 minutes have gone by. You could have gone to the gym, right? So that was number 2. Number 1, defer. We put ourselves last. Number 2, we buffer our time and avoid the discomfort. And number 3, we just give up. We quit, right? So we might go to the gym and think that everybody's staring at us because we're new, because we don't know how to use the equipment. We look confused. We're afraid to ask for help. It felt so bad and we felt terrible in our skin. So we just quit. Like, we're not going back. That was terrible. Or, you know, we decide to give up sugar. And that first day, that first hour, you're like, oh my God, this feels terrible. All I want is a piece of chocolate, right? And we just give in. So the question is, what can we do instead, right? Let's pop over to, okay, nothing's happening on the Facebook side. That is fine. All right. So what can we do instead when we're faced with doing something new that feels terrible? Number 1, we can plan on being uncomfortable in advance. We can say, okay, I'm doing something new. Anytime I do something new, it feels terrible. I'm going to plan on it. And then you start to fill your brain with thoughts like, I can handle it. Yes, it's going to be yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I can handle it. Or this thought is one of my favorites. I'm not going to die, right? This is not life or death. This is something that will pass. I will face it. I will get through it, and I will put it behind me. And also, reminding yourself, it will be so worth it. Yes, that's what I have to tell myself when I think about foam rolling. I mentioned this yesterday. It's important for my neck and my back that I do foam rolling, because I tend to sit at my desk and scrunch up and type and do this kind of movement. And I broke my collarbone a few years ago. So everything over here is just really messed up. I hate stopping what I'm doing, laying down on the floor for 5 or 10 minutes a couple times a day. And a lot of times I avoid it. I'm like, I don't want to do that right now. And on the days that I avoid it, by the end of the day, I feel so terrible. I feel so crampy. So what I have to do is to remind myself, yes, you don't want to do this right now. It's uncomfortable because it's interrupting what I'm doing. It's uncomfortable because it kind of hurts, like in a good way. And I just have to remind myself that it's going to be worth it. And then at the end of the day, I feel so much better. So that's a little example, but that's true with our big examples too. Planning in advance. That's number 1. Number 2, be aware of what you're thinking all the time. And are you telling yourself lies? Are you telling yourself it's too hard? Are you telling yourself I'm too busy? Or my kids, their needs are way more important than mine? Because if that's what your brain is telling you, and that's what you're feeding yourself, like I said on Monday in setting an intention, your brain will look for evidence to support you. But what if you changed your thoughts and say, I need to take care of me first, then I can take care of my kids even better, right? So be very careful and hyper aware of what you're thinking. Number 3, allow yourself to feel your feelings, to feel that discomfort, to know that, again, you're not going to die. So rather than avoid it, just sit with it, kind of embrace it, kind of give it some love, right? Know that doubt and fear are part of the process of doing new things. Think about when you were younger, 15 or 16 years old, and you took driver's ed and you were behind the wheel for the first time. That was scary, right? But you knew it would be so worth it. And now you're an expert at it. You drive down the road and it's all subconscious. It's on automatic pilot. So just allow yourself to have the discomfort and do it anyway. Here's a small example, like I am doing today. I decided to do something new with this class. Yes, I am doing a Zoom recording, just like Monday and Tuesday. But today, Wednesday, I'm also streaming it live into the Facebook group. So why am I doing that? Why am I trying something new? Because assuming it works correctly, it makes my life a little bit easier, because what I've been doing is I download the Zoom recording, then I upload it to YouTube, which takes a lot of time, surprisingly. And then once the video is available, I post it in the group later when I remember and get a chance. But by streaming it directly into the Facebook group, one, some people may be able to watch it live, and two, I don't have to do all those other steps. I'm just streamlining it. But this is new. This is uncomfortable. And I had some fear and doubt about it. Will the technology work? Do I know what I'm doing? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I had a little bit of mind drama at first. It was, and then I had to ask myself, this is one of my steps. I'm transitioning into number 4. Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? I love this question, because 9 times out of 10, what we invent in our head or what we think without being intentional about it, like it feels way bigger than what the worst thing actually is. So the worst thing that actually would happen in this case is that it won't work. Like that's the worst thing. Like maybe I'll have to go delete the Facebook recording so some people don't see it. Like that's okay. Or maybe I would look foolish. Maybe I don't know, maybe I look scared. Maybe I'm like, look confused. I decided it was okay. It was okay to get through the discomfort. I knew that doubt and fear was a part of doing something new, and I am willing to experience things. I am willing to experience it. Okay, so far we've got plan in advance, be aware of what you're thinking, allow yourself to be uncomfortable, ask yourself what is the worst thing that could happen. Now, number 5 is tell yourself, I can do hard things. I have done hard things before. If you've ever learned to drive, if you've ever had a child, if you've ever bought a house, if you've ever refinished a piece of furniture, the first time you did that, it was hard. Remind yourself that you've done hard things, and then your brain will give you evidence to support you. Yes, I have done hard things. Yes, I can do more hard things. And I'm going to be okay. And number 6, I think, is a really big one. You need to remind yourself that if you are not willing to move through something uncomfortable, nothing in your life will change. You will stay exactly where you are. And if you've got big dreams and big goals and big plans for yourself, you will never get there if you're not willing to handle your discomfort. Also remind yourself that when you get through to the other side, when you work your way through and you navigate and you handle it, you're going to feel proud. You're going to feel accomplished. You're going to feel confident, right? Just in that example where I talked about the bookcases the other day, like in the beginning, like I had fear and doubt. I told myself I couldn't handle it, but then by the end, I felt like an expert. I felt badass. I felt fantastic. And remind yourself that if you're willing to handle that, that's what you're going to come out with on the other side. One thing that you might also consider is that where you are today, if there's something you want to change, there's something you want to go for and haven't been able to yet, the reason why you don't have that thing yet is because of all of your thinking in the past. All of the thinking that you've done in the past has led you to the results that you have today. So if you want different results, you need to have different thinking. Everything is created in the mind first. I'm really big, in case you haven't noticed, by day 3, I'm really big on being intentional with your thoughts. I will also offer that the reason why, to support that thought, is that if you don't have what you want today, there's some obstacle in your mind that you're not yet willing to overcome. And you need to figure out what is that obstacle. A lot of times, or some of the most common, I want to say the 3 most common are, I don't think I have enough money, I don't think I have enough time, and I don't think my spouse or my partner will support me. Those tend to be the biggest obstacle. But if you tell yourself, I have plenty of money, I have plenty of time, I can figure this out without my partner, again, your brain is going to find evidence to support you. It's just the way the brain works. Okay, so to recap briefly, we're human. We are going to feel uncomfortable, and it's okay. We're probably not going to die. And what you can do to help get through it is to plan on it in advance. Let yourself know that you can handle it. Be hyper aware of what you're thinking. And if you're telling yourself lies, change those thoughts. Embrace the discomfort. Own it, acknowledge it, do it anyway. Number 4, ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? It's probably not that bad. Tell yourself that you can do hard things, and you know this because you've done hard things. And then the last one is remind yourself that if you don't do it, nothing's going to change. Everything's going to stay exactly the way it is. So that's it for today's lesson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait for tomorrow. We're going to be talking about how to evaluate how you're doing. So let's say you want to go for something, you set an intention, and you're going to figure it out. How do you know if it's working? We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right. Thanks, everybody. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.